Angels, it's Hailey Reese and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so grateful that you are here. Before I get into this video, I actually want to take a moment and just say thank you to each and every one of you who commented on my latest video. So many of you were saying how long you've been here and how much you guys enjoy my content, and it just means the absolute world to me. I mentioned it in like my first video back of 2024. I feel so good about this year. I'm so excited about my content. I was actually like messaging my cousin the other day because she really enjoyed my recent videos, and I was like, you have no idea the cases that I am about to cover. So if you're not subscribed but you enjoy my content and you're excited for what's to come this year, make sure to subscribe. And if you are subscribed, make sure that your post notifications are on. I was pretty MIA last year and the algorithm despises me right now. So I'm really hoping that through consistency and you guys being notified for my videos through post notifications, the algorithm can start to be my friend again. This video today is kind of impromptu. It's one that I wasn't planning on making for a number of reasons, which I'll get into in a second. But in my previous video, I did mention that I had a health scare and I had a seizure. And I should have known in mentioning that you guys would, number one, be worried, but number two, have so many questions as far as what happened. And while I wasn't gonna make a video on it because I'm feeling good, I don't wanna dwell on it, I don't wanna put too much energy into what happened, I feel as though I've been responding to as many of you on social media as possible through like Instagram. If you're not following me there, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm responding to some tweets. I still call them tweets, sorry guys. But I feel as though so many of you have been asking. There's quite a few comments on my previous video asking if I could explain what I felt like leading up to it and what exactly happened. So that is today's video. If this type of video is not your cup of tea, I am absolutely not offended. We are resuming right back to our regular content tomorrow, so don't worry about that. But this is just for those of you who are concerned and are worried. Now before, one more thing, I get into kind of what happened, even though it's a blur. I do want to mention that I don't have like any results from my doctor yet. So if you're looking for an explanation as to what exactly happened, I don't have that answer for you as of right now. And I likely won't be updating on this channel. If anything, I will update you guys on Daily Hailey, which is coming back. But I'm just gonna share my experience. I have a couple of assumptions as to what I think could have happened. But with that being said, I am not a medical professional and this is just my experience. So, to preface, I have never experienced a seizure in my entire life. I know people close to me who, when they had really high fevers as children, they experienced seizures and things of the sorts, but epilepsy doesn't run in my family and I've never experienced a seizure. So this was very, very left pocket for me. My health concerns that I typically deal with are to do with my lungs and things of that nature. So I did not see this coming whatsoever, which is the sole, well, I mean, the whole thing is scary, but it is like the sole thing that has terrified me throughout all of this. Now, in order for me to really be able to explain what ended up happening, I think it's super important, did my voice just crack? It's super important to explain my day, because in one of my personal theories, Dr. Hailey's theories, Dr. Hailey, I think that this could be a strong leading factor as to why this happened. So the day of the seizure, I had been feeling perfectly fine leading up to this day. My asthma's been really triggered lately. I've been having a lot more trouble breathing, taking my steroids and whatnot, but that's not uncommon for me when the weather is shifting and changing. And we've had a lot of like ups and downs with our weather where I live right now. So besides my breathing, I wasn't having any health concerns. I was actually feeling really good. I've been prioritizing my health, eating good, taking care of myself, doing things to take care of my mental health. But this day, you guys, it was like the day from hell. It was as if somebody had a voodoo doll of mine and was like, stab, 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 everywhere it could hurt. It was awful. And I know things could always be much worse, but for me, this is just a really left pocket, crazy day. In the morning, I was dealing with something that was extremely stressful in my personal life, overwhelming. It has since been resolved, which is such a relief. And also dealing with other things that I can't wait to share with you once they are resolved. Trust me, that I will talk about here on my channel. But it was just an overall really, really stressful day. And I had met my mom for breakfast earlier that day to go over all of the different things that were causing me a lot of stress. Mama and I were hanging out, and I noticed that she was feeling a little bit off. She said her stomach felt weird, her energy was a little bit low, but my mom does have Crohn's, and so it's not uncommon for her to have like different stomach issues and things of the sorts. And I ended up leaving breakfast with my mom, coming back home and getting started on one of the cases that I'm going to be posting this week for you guys. And I was on my computer and I was working, and I receive a phone call from my mom, and she's crying. She's actually panicking. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm scared. Something's really, really wrong with me. And I'm like, what do you mean something's really wrong with you? Like, talk to me. And she begins to explain that she has this feeling in her stomach where it feels like her stomach not has a heartbeat, but is like pulsing, like it's like beating, but not like a gentle heartbeat in her stomach. It was like unlike anything she'd ever felt before. And it was this pain and it was this pressure. And it wasn't just in her stomach, it was also in her back and in her legs. And she was feeling pain down her legs, and she was feeling really, really numb. So I ended up telling her, like, calm down, just breathe. I'm sure it's just maybe your Crohn's acting up, or indigestion or gas, you know, all of the normal things that you would think of. But even I was like, there's something up with like the pain down the legs. And my mom starts bawling her eyes out and says that it is essentially pointing towards a aneurysm in the stomach. And one of the things when you search about it, don't Google. Google is just terrifying. But one of the things when you search about it is that if aneurysms run in your family of this sorts, you need to go to Emerge immediately if you have any of the following symptoms. And my mom had all of them. Now, my Grams, who you guys know, she had a really big aneurysm in her stomach for years. And the surgery that would later lead to my grandmother's passing was on the aneurysm. It was to do whatever they had to do with the aneurysm, and she lost too much blood, ended up on life support, and ended up passing. So when I started Googling, and all the searches were pointing towards this aneurysm and saying, like, if it ruptures, you will basically die immediately, I start panicking because it just brought back so much PTSD of my grandmother and her aneurysm. And I was already having such a bad mental health day, just like stacked on stacked on stacked of all of these things going on. And it put me into an extreme panic. So I called Lana. And I'm talking to Lana because, for those of you who may not know this, Lana was actually a nurse prior to going full-time into mediumship. And so I was calling for her medical advice as to like whether I should force my mom to go to the hospital, because my mom's like, I'm just gonna lay down. What I'm reading, like, that's not good. If it's rupturing, like if it's going to rupture, you will die. And I even called my sister, who's a paramedic, and she's like, Hailey, if it ruptures, she's dead. Like, there's no time. And my sister's saying she needs an ambulance because if it is like rupturing or whatever, she can't overexert herself because she could rupture it. And my mom's being stubborn, saying she's going to lay down. So I'm talking to Lana, and Lana goes, I feel very strongly she needs to go to the hospital. Lana goes, I don't feel her exiting, but I do feel as though like she needs to go to the hospital. I don't feel good about her staying home. Now, Lana and I have a very open, honest relationship. She can tell me absolutely anything, be it through mediumship or just as a friend or a nurse. Like, she can tell me these things. And so I appreciated her honesty and her urgency in it. And I'm so, so, so grateful. But now I'm thinking the worst because I have so much anxiety. I was actually texting Lana, like, Lana, I am going to have a mental breakdown. I'm going to have a panic attack. There's a reason this is all relevant to the seizure. And so I'm pacing my house. My heart's palpitating. I feel like I can't breathe. I'm breaking out in hives. I'm having like, I can't focus. Like, this is my mama. Like, I couldn't even focus. And so my mom goes to the hospital. So I'm like, I shouldn't go to the hospital unless I hear something is wrong, then I'm gonna go, because I didn't want to put my mom into a panic. And I am just not good in crisis situations and anything where it's bad. So if I was hearing from the doctors, you need to come here and be here, I was gonna go. But I knew it was best that I put on a strong face from my condo. And I was only like 8 minutes from the hospital where she was. So I was just waiting on updates. And obviously my mom is being taken in for all of these tests, and her messages to me are very spread out. And so I'm stressing and I'm worrying, and my anxiety and my OCD is telling me that she's not telling me the severity of it, because they rushed her straight in. She didn't wait in triage or anything. She went into triage and she was put straight in. And immediately they ran a ton of tests, like so much so that when I called Lana to give her an update, I was like, she's done this. She's like, wow, she hasn't even been there an hour. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's great. They're on top of it. Long story short, with my mom's front, I ended up getting the phone call that she's okay. It was just some flare-up that she was having, and she was to follow up with the family doctor. I find out that she's great, and thank goodness. It was essential that she went in, but it was not a stomach aneurysm. She didn't have it. At one point, they were stating that they couldn't rule it out, so they did more testing, but thank the Lord, she doesn't have one, and she was fine. So I start to decompress, and I start to calm down. At this point, where I am right now is our little like extra room slash like den, which is my office. And to the right of me here is the living room. Now, where you're sitting on the couch in the living room, you can't obviously see into my office. And Tyler was sitting out here in the living room. I was sitting at my computer here, going back to working on my video, because now I'm like, okay, compose yourself. Don't let the day get the best of you. You're gonna complete something. You're gonna go to bed feeling good tonight. And it was kind of later in the evening. Tyler, what time would you say it was?
I don't know, maybe like 9.
I was gonna say 9 o'clock. So it's around 9 p.m. at this time. It's dark out, and I'm in here working, and this is where it gets really scary for me looking back. Now, what I'm about to share with you has been shared with me from Tyler. I remember nothing of this, which is so terrifying to me. The last thing I remember is working on my computer, and the next thing that I remember is waking up and seeing Tyler yelling at me, like not yelling at me in a rude way, but yelling, it's me, it's Tyler, babe, it's me. And I'm perplexed because I'm sideways on the floor looking at him, and he's explaining that it's him to me. And none of this makes sense. And I start to sit up, and he's telling me, just lay down, just relax. And he's going and grabbing me a piece of ice. And he's like, put this on your chest. And I'm like, I'm so frazzled, and I'm tasting blood in my mouth. And I'm like, what happened? And he looks at me, and I can still see it. I have chills. He says, you just had a really bad seizure. What? Like, this made no sense in my mind. Again, never in my life have I had a seizure. Never in my life. I haven't even come close. I haven't even blacked out to the point of what I'm about to tell you that transpired while I was out of it. That has never happened to me. I've like kind of like saw stars and like blacked out for a second, but I've never had minutes that are just missing. So I'm looking at him, I'm like, what do you mean I had a seizure? I'm so disoriented. Apparently, with the piece of ice that he'd given me, I was so out of it, I kept looking at him like, what do I do with this? Like, I couldn't comprehend what was going on, and he was about to go throw up, and I've never seen him look so sick in his life, and I'm just frazzled by this, so I slowly get up, and I go and I sit on the couch, and that's when he explains to me what had just happened. So this is from Tyler's recollection, and Tyler's in the other room, so Tyler, if I misconstrued anything, feel free to chime in. But Tyler said he was out sitting on the couch, and he heard what sounded as if somebody put their hands on my throat and was choking me. It was like a choking. And at first he's like, babe, like, what are you doing? Like thinking that I was being silly or something, because again, this is not in the norm for me. He was not expecting. Pardon me?
I said, are you good?
Oh, you said, am I good? He yelled out, are you good? Like trying to see what was going on. And when I didn't answer, and I guess it went silent, he came around the corner. Now my chair that I had been tucked under my desk in was up against, up against this wall. And I guess I was stiff, straight, slumped over in the chair. I wasn't like convulsing violently, but it was as if, you described it, Tyler, as if I had been electrocuted, and my body was so stiff, all of it, and it was like vibrating. And he said that my eyes were in the back of my head. He couldn't see the color of my eyes. And I wasn't foaming, but I was drooling. And so he started screaming like, Hailey, like, I'm gonna call 911, like he didn't know what to do. And so then when he realized I was having a seizure, and he saw that I started dripping out of my mouth, he took me off of the chair and put me on my side and was like making sure my head was good. And he was trying to get me to like, come to and whatnot. And we don't know how long this was, because Tyler was obviously, and rightfully so, absolutely traumatized. And so he said it felt like 4 minutes, but it could have been much less, because things feel much longer when there's something crazy going on. And then he said that I slowly came to, but when I came to, for about 30 seconds, it was as if I was possessed. I started screaming, like as if I was having a night terror. I didn't know who he was. I was freaking out, and that's when he started going, Hailey, it's me, it's Tyler, babe, it's me. And that's when I ended up coming to and waking up and seeing him and being so perplexed, because I remember zero of that. I remember nothing. I didn't feel weird leading up to the seizure. I didn't feel like, oh, my head's a little off, or like, ooh, like I'm seeing stuff. Nothing. I'm editing, I'm watching a video while I'm editing, and literally, I wake up on the floor. So all of a sudden, I like spit into my hand when I'm like coming to, and there's all this blood. I guess when my jaw had locked, I bit the out of my tongue. My whole right side of my tongue, even Tyler said, like, I'm lucky I didn't take the side off. It was so bad. Like, my tongue hurt so badly, I couldn't talk for like 3 days after. Like, I could talk, but it was like, I was talking like this because like it hurt so bad. I guess from being so tense, my whole body hurt as if I ran a triathlon and like did a whole triathlon. And my throat here on this side where I had clenched, I couldn't swallow solid foods. I had to eat soup for like 2 days because the muscle hurt so bad to swallow. Now, everybody has said that I should have went to the ER. Tyler didn't call 911 in the moment when I was on the floor because he was trying to make sure that I was okay. He was panicking. He said that he was gagging in his mouth about to throw up because he's never seen something so traumatizing and so scary in his life. And then when I came to, he wanted me to go to the hospital, but I was being stubborn. I didn't even like fathom. Like, it felt like a bad dream because I hadn't seen it happen. So like, to me, I'm just hearing that I did this, but I can't like picture it. Like, I've never experienced this. So the following day, I did call my doctor. I follow up with my doctor in the next couple of days. And obviously we're gonna run some tests, we're gonna figure it out. But I was doing some research as far as like seizures and what can cause them. And well, again, I am absolutely no doctor. That day was incredibly stressful, badly stressful. And I read that occasionally seizures can be triggered by extreme stress. But on top of that, due to my stress all day, even when I went to breakfast with my mom because I was stressed, I maybe ate like 1 or 2 bites of my food. It was packed up and brought in the fridge, and I didn't eat the whole rest of the day. Excuse me. So I was also reading that low blood sugar can cause that as well. And I suffer from low blood sugar from time to time. I have to keep my blood sugar high. So I'm wondering if it was a combination of low blood sugar and extreme stress. Again, I'm gonna work through this with my doctor, so you guys do not need to worry. I have been perfectly fine since, knock on wood. However, I do want to put on the record, I have not driven anywhere since alone. Like, I've rode in the car, but I have not driven. And Tyler does not let me go anywhere alone right now. Like, when I go to the store, no matter what store I'm going to, he comes with me. He wants to always make sure I'm okay. I really like taking baths. He's constantly checking on me like every like 10 minutes just to make sure I'm okay. And even when he's not coming to check, he's like texting me like, you good in there? Like, everything good? And I'm not going to drive on my own until I get the clear go ahead from my doctor that it was a one-off like thing that had happened and that I'm okay. I do not believe I have epilepsy. The only trigger I can think of is the extreme stress. I've never been so stressed in one day in my entire life. This was very overwhelming. I've been extremely, extremely stressed, but this was like multiple things in one day. And then thinking that my mom's gonna have what happened to my grandma put me in this OCD loop of like, oh my goodness, this is gonna happen again, this. But again, it could be a lot of things. So I'm gonna trust my doctor. I mean, I know people will say you should have went to the ER, but I just feel more comfortable as well going through these steps with my family doctor. She's been my doctor almost my entire life. And I just know she knows my medical history. She knows everything about me. She'll know the proper tests to take. She'll know the way that my brain functions and works. But yeah, that's essentially what happened to me. I feel, again, like I said, totally fine now. But I think what terrifies me the most isn't necessarily that it happened. I mean, it's scary that I don't remember anything, like, at all. There's not even like a moment that I even remember transitioning from being normal to seizing. I don't remember it. But what scares me the most is like, what if I'd have been driving? I would just not forgive myself if I'd hurt somebody else because of that. Granted, it wouldn't have been my fault. It was a medical emergency. But I'm just so grateful that I was safe in the comfort of my own home, that Tyler was here to do what he did to make sure that I was okay. So grateful to him. And yeah, so that's where we're at now. I will be following up with my doctor. You guys have nothing to worry about. I feel perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. It's just a reminder that we really need to take care of ourselves. And that's like my main goal this year, is taking care of my mental and my physical and my emotional health, and really focusing on creating and just doing what brings me joy. So I encourage you watching this, take care of yourself, whatever that looks like for you, be it eating foods that fuel you, or be it going for a nice walk, or be it doing the things that you love, or allowing yourself some downtime. Just do it. That was one of those moments where life is too short. Afterwards, when I came to and I was sitting there, first of all, Tyler was kind of creepy all night. Every time I opened my eyes, he was there like staring at me. He didn't sleep the entire night, making sure I didn't go into another seizure. And afterwards, he got really emotional. He wasn't crying, but he had tears in his eyes. And he said, "Don't ever do that to me again. I've never been so scared in my life." He's like, "I thought I was losing you. You looked like you were dying." And he said, "I would never wish on anyone to see someone's seizure, let alone someone that they love." Like, he said it was the most disturbing, traumatizing thing. He was trying to help me without throwing up because he was so sick by what he was seeing. And I'm just so grateful that he kept it together and he did what he did for me. He did all the right things, like putting me on my side, making sure I was okay. And I'm just very, very grateful for that. But, you know, it really puts into perspective, life can change on a dime. Yes, I had a stressful day, but 1 minute I was perfectly normal and the next second I was in like a medical emergency. So just don't take anything for granted. And that is the seizure story. Thank you guys so much for all of your well wishes and your kind words. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to each and every one of you who left a comment, who has wished me well, who's been rooting for me. I am rooting for you guys too, and I'm so grateful. And I just really, really appreciate it. So whatever you have going on in your life, I am sending you endless love, light, and positive energy. And I will see you guys with another creepy video tomorrow. Bye guys, I love you.